What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs and features of the iPhone 6 to the Samsung Galaxy Alpha. So the iPhone 6 has just been officially announced yesterday, and the Samsung Galaxy Alpha actually was announced a few weeks ago, and it looked like Samsung were preempting the release of the iPhone 6 and offering something quite similar in size and also build quality. Now, what are the key differences between these two devices? Well, do hit that thumbs up button and let's find out in this head-to-head spec comparison. Now, let's start off with the dimensions, the sizes of these devices. The Samsung Galaxy Alpha is actually smaller compared to the iPhone 6, 5.7mm in height, 1.5mm in width, and it's also 0.2mm thinner. So compact overall compared to the iPhone 6. Both are very thin. I mean, the iPhone 6 is 6.9mm, whereas the Samsung Galaxy Alpha is 6.7mm thin. These are some of the thinnest smartphones out there at the moment, definitely going for that compact factor. But the fact is that both of these have the same size screen, so it's 4.7 inches on both here. Quite impressive to see that Samsung have managed to have a compact device, a more compact device with the same screen size as the iPhone 6. Now, you've got a slight difference here in terms of the screen types as well. You've got a Super AMOLED display on the Samsung Galaxy Alpha, and on the iPhone 6 you've got an LED backlit IPS display. So they're slightly different, and this will come down to personal preference. I mean, based on screens, generally Samsung and iPhone do make some of the best screens out there on any smartphones. I don't think you can have a problem with either of these. Now, in terms of resolution, we've got a difference here as well. The Samsung Galaxy Alpha comes with a 720p resolution, so that's a 1280 by 720, so it's a standard HD resolution, and that works out to roughly about 312 ppi pixel density. With the iPhone 6, they've gone for a 1334 by 750 resolution, so it's slightly higher than 720p, but it's not a standard format. I mean, would have liked them to have kept it even to a standard HD format. But they've done this to maintain a 326 ppi pixel density, which is on the iPhone 5 and on the iPhone 5S. So you've got a slight edge here in terms of the pixel density on the iPhone 6, but the Samsung Galaxy Alpha has the edge for a more standard screen resolution. Now, moving on to the weight, the Samsung Galaxy Alpha actually comes in quite a bit lighter compared to the iPhone 6, 14 grams lighter. So nice to see that Samsung have once again managed to have a more compact device overall with the same screen size. It does come down partly to the build. The iPhone 6 has that full metal body, so it's a full metal unibody. It's been very popular in the past. This is a slight update in design. It's got a bit more of a curved back rather than the chamfered edges that we're used to seeing. With the Samsung Galaxy Alpha, they've gone for a metal frame this time with the chamfered edges, so this looks quite similar to the iPhone 5 and the iPhone 5S with those edges. They look quite sleek, but you've still got a plastic back, so this is a soft touch back that they've gone for. Now, the reason for this is so that you've got a removable back, which gives you a removable battery, so this is something that you're going to have a compromise with. I mean, both of these I would still say are premium, and it's nice to see that Samsung are now starting to use metal, whereas they've always been using plastic in their previous devices. Now, moving on to the internals, the Samsung Galaxy Alpha has an octa-core processor, so that's 4 at 1.8 GHz and the other 4 at 1.3 GHz. And this is quite high in terms of performance. It was performing higher than the Samsung Galaxy S5 and things in terms of benchmarks. Now, the iPhone 6 comes with the Apple A8 processor. That's believed to be at 1.4 GHz dual core. Now, this is going to come down to usage. We're going to have to put these side by side because they use different operating systems which require different specs. So I know for dual core to octa-core, it would give the Samsung Galaxy Alpha the edge, but we'll have to put these hands on. Plus, the iPhone 6 has a 64-bit processor, so we will have to put these side by side in terms of seeing the real day-to-day performance. You've also got the M8 motion coprocessor on the iPhone 6, which measures motion data separately from the main processor, so it doesn't wake up the main processor. In terms of RAM, you've got 2 GB on the Samsung Galaxy Alpha. You've got 1 GB of RAM on the iPhone 6. Once again, this will matter in terms of day-to-day usage, and because you've got different operating systems, so multitasking and things, we will have to check these out. In terms of storage options available, the Samsung Galaxy Alpha only comes in the 32GB version. They've not mentioned any other versions as yet. With the iPhone 6, you've got 16, 64 and 128GB versions, so you've got a lot more variety here on the iPhone 6. Surely you're going to have to pay different prices for these. That goes without saying, but the fact is that you've got a few more options with the Samsung Galaxy Alpha. You only have the 32 gig version. Now the other thing is that neither of these have expandable storage. Now this was a surprising move from Samsung because most of their devices have a micro SD card slot. You don't have one here on the Samsung Galaxy Alpha, so you are going to be stuck with that storage of 32 gigabytes. A bit of a surprising move. Maybe they've done this to keep the device a bit more compact. I'm not too sure. And moving on to the cameras, the Samsung Galaxy Alpha has a 12 megapixel camera, whereas the iPhone 6 has an 8 megapixel camera. So you've got a slight advantage in terms of resolution here on the Samsung Galaxy Alpha. Both of these use phase detection, autofocus, so fast, super fast autofocus that you're going to be getting on both devices. The Samsung Galaxy Alpha also has real-time HDR, which is a new feature that Samsung are offering, which lets you see the HDR results before you take the picture as well. So it's going to be live. That's for video as well as images, which is quite nice to see. And with the iPhone 6, you have that TrueTone flash, so you've got those dual LED flashes at the back, so they fire off in different combinations to give you some better skin tones. So this we will have to put side by side. In terms of video, the Samsung Galaxy Alpha can film up to 4K, so that's 2160p at 30 frames a second. You've got slow motion as well, so you've got 720p at 120 frames a second as well. Now with the iPhone 6, you don't have 4K. This is something we wouldn't have expected Apple to do anyway. You've got 1080p at up to 60 frames a second, but you've got 720p at 240 frames a second. So very, very nice here, having that super slow motion. I mean, the slow motion on the iPhone 5S was absolutely great, so they've definitely improved this on here. You've got double the slow motion. You can get some great footage on here, I've got no doubt. I'm really looking forward to checking this out on the iPhone 6. In terms of the front-facing cameras, the Samsung Galaxy Alpha has a 2 megapixel front-facing camera, which is capable of filming 1080p HD. With the iPhone 6, they've still stuck to a 1.2 megapixel front-facing camera that's capable of filming 720p HD. Now, I would have liked to have had a larger resolution on the front-facing camera of the iPhone 6, especially with all of that selfie craze that's out there at the moment, but they stuck to a 1.2 megapixel front-facing camera. It's supposed to be improved in low light, and you've also got burst mode and some new features which should help out there, but I would have liked to have had a slightly larger resolution with a 1080p video. Now the operating systems, the Samsung Galaxy Alpha is going to come with the latest version of Android, KitKat 4.4.4 out of the box, and it's going to come with the TouchWiz skin on top. Now this has its own advantages and disadvantages because of that skin, so you're not going to be getting updates directly from Google, but at the same time you're going to be getting some of those Samsung features. Now with the iPhone 6, you're going to get iOS 8, which is the latest version. You're going to be getting the updates directly from Apple as well. Now in terms of which is better, this is down to your personal preference, whether you prefer iOS or whether you prefer Android. I mean, both of these have come a very long way, and it definitely does come down to personal preference. Now looking at some of the features in terms of the connectors, firstly, with the iPhone 6 you've still got that lightning connector as you had with the iPhone 5S, so you can switch this so it's reversible, but the fact is that it's quite expensive, it's not universal, and it can also break quite easily. With the Samsung Galaxy Alpha, you've got a micro USB connector, so this is a very standard micro USB connector, universal, and you can pick them up very cheap. I mean, you're looking at roughly about quarter the price compared to a standard lightning connector. Now in terms of the security, you've got a fingerprint scanner on both of these. The Samsung Galaxy Alpha has a similar fingerprint scanner to the Samsung Galaxy S5, which you have to swipe your finger or thumb on it to unlock the device and make payments and things through PayPal. But with the iPhone 6 you've got Touch ID, so for me Touch ID definitely gets the edge here because you can use it in any angle, you don't have to swipe, so it's definitely more accurate in my experience of using the iPhone 5S as well as the Samsung Galaxy S5. But Apple now also have Apple Pay, so now Apple are partnering with lots of different providers to give you easier access to payments and things, and you can store your credit card information on there as well, secured through Touch ID. So that's interesting to see, and we'll have to see how this picks up. So we finally got NFC here on the iPhone 6, which we've had on Samsung for a long time. Now the Samsung Galaxy Alpha has a heart rate sensor at the back as well, so this is going to let you measure your pulse rate, and it's going to let you use it along with your health app. So this is something that's not available on the iPhone 6. Now looking at the batteries, the Samsung Galaxy Alpha has an 1860 mAh battery, which is removable. The iPhone 6, they've not confirmed the exact size of the battery, but we would expect it to be roughly about the 1800 mAh mark. It's not removable, so you can't replace it or carry around a spare. So the advantage goes here to the Samsung Galaxy Alpha, where you're going to be able to charge a battery separately altogether and also carry around a spare or replace it as well if needed. Now, in terms of usage, we're going to have to put these side by side. I mean, they've got a very similar screen resolution and pixels per inch, so in terms of the processing power and things, we're going to have to expect something quite similar between these two, so we will have to put these side by side. Now, finally, looking at the price, the Samsung Galaxy Alpha is going to be available in a few days, and you can pick it up for £550 in the UK, or roughly about $650 in the US. Now, this is off contract, just to see the value of the device. Now, with the iPhone 6, it's going to be starting at £539, or around about $650 in the US. Now, that's for the base 16GB model, and the prices go up for the other storage versions as so. So for the base models, you are going to be looking at a similar price, the 16GB model on the iPhone 6 and the 32GB model of the Samsung Galaxy Alpha. So you're going to be getting a little bit more storage for the base model at a similar price. So there we have it, the Samsung Galaxy Alpha versus the iPhone 6. Those were the key differences between the two. Overall, it looks like Samsung have definitely gone directly for this market. They want to really capture some of the iPhone 6 market by offering a smaller device with the same screen size, and they've also gone for a bit more of a premium build. Do you think Samsung have done enough to sway some Apple users from the iPhone 6 to the Samsung Galaxy Alpha? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV. I'll see you next time. If you want to see more regular videos like this one, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, which will be below. If you're on a mobile device, it may be somewhere else. If you want to see my previous related video, then hit the link right here. If you want to stay in touch over Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, then all of the addresses will be there somewhere, as well as direct links in the description below. Okay, if you're still watching, then that means you've not done one of those things, so, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna go downstairs. See. Okay. There isn't really a downstairs. Anyway, so yeah.